Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show, everyone. We are the nation's longest running and nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm your host, Ben, and hey, we hope that you're doing well. Today on the program, we have a ton of stories, everything from the latest Fortnite versus Apple and what that could mean for a lot of people, and let's face it, a lot of money for Apple. We have everything from Kroger is going to start doing drone deliveries. Yes, that's right. A major grocery store chain finally having access to drone delivery. What does this mean? Where is it? Hey, we'll let you know. All that and more. We have a ton of different stuff to talk about. And before we do that, everyone, computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find the latest. Everything from the articles, reviews, show notes, past guests, future guests, podcasts, links to social media, all that and more, computeramerica.com. And of course, you can check out the live video feed, twitch.tv/computeramerica. But obviously, we try to make this as convenient as possible for, well, all the radio listeners out there. So the best way to listen to us is, of course, IRN. Everyone, we hope that you're having a great day. You had a great weekend and you are ready for another episode. So let's go ahead and get started with computer and technology news, brought to you by Computer America. So I think we're going to wait a little bit on the Apple and Epic and everything that was revealed today, and why that makes the news is that yes, there's been a lot of posturing and that kind of thing, but the official court case has started today. So we're going to go over why each one thinks that they deserve billions of dollars and what that can mean for, of course, everyone else if Apple wins or if someone else wins. Or if Epic wins. It's going to mean very different things. But I think for our first one, we're going to start off with an announcement. And this one coming to us straight from the PlayStation blog. And about a week or two ago, if you're not familiar with Discord is a messaging app. I would very much compare it to Skype, but mainly for video games. But the main difference is that there are ways that you can make your own server. You can kind of customize it, invite, have people click a link and they're invited right away. It's like Skype with a message board and a little bit of gaming, a little bit of social media. There's streaming involved. Overall, it's a very unique platform because it does a lot of things and it does them all very, very well. So we have this article coming out today from the president and CEO of Discord saying that, I should say the president and CEO of PlayStation. Yes, PlayStation. They're saying that at PlayStation, we're constantly looking for new ways to enable players around the world to connect with one another. And, they believe that it's in this spirit that we're excited to announce a new partnership with Discord. And that's used by over 140 million people a month. Which, by the way, I would say that the people who use Discord and at least know about PlayStation or use PlayStation Network, there's a pretty big overlap. I would say that a lot of people who, obviously, let's see, the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 combined have sold about 20 million consoles, and there's about 140 million Discord players or users. I would say that, yeah, there's a significant overlap already of the user bases, and making it official, making it within their own ecosystem is hugely beneficial. And really, after the discussion that was happening about 2 weeks ago about Microsoft, and this is really the surprising thing, after, supposed rumors that Microsoft was interested in purchasing Discord, I'm surprised that Discord made a deal with PlayStation, and Microsoft, while they didn't, kind of nail down the acquisition, I'm surprised they didn't at least get this kind of deal with Discord. I would fully expect, kind of a Windows/Xbox console/Discord partnership, but looks like PlayStation came out from under them. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the original rumors of acquisition actually came from, were from Discord and Microsoft having these talks as well. They say, and so PlayStation continues saying, our teams are already hard at work connecting Discord with your social and gaming experience on the PlayStation Network, saying that their goal is to bring the Discord and PlayStation experiences closer together on console and mobile starting next year, allowing friends, groups, and communities to hang out, have fun, and communicate more easily while playing games together. Saying that to bring these experiences to life for our players, Sony Interactive has made a minority investment as part of Discord's Series H round. So that means that they invested probably a decent sum of money into Discord, saying that from our very first conversation with Jason Citron and Stan Wisniewski, I got that right, I promise. They say that he was inspired by their lifelong love of gaming and our team's shared passion to help bring friends and communities together in new ways. Saying that it's always a privilege to work with great partners, blah, blah, blah. Essentially, Discord coming to the PlayStation Network. There's probably an exclusivity deal. I'm not saying that there absolutely is, but it would be actually very, very cool. We've been looking for kind of that crossplay that had been, kind of promised between PlayStation, PC, Xbox, Nintendo Switch. Regardless of what console you're playing on, everyone gets to play together. It would be very cool if Discord would kind of help, really facilitate all these different communities joining together. But I kind of have a feeling that if they invested even, minority investments, so maybe 5-10% of their overall value, which could be, hundreds of millions of dollars, I highly doubt that PlayStation would allow something like that to happen. So that dream's probably shelved for now, but hey, Discord coming to the PlayStation Network, that is a really, really good get for PlayStation. So you can look forward to that as well, because, the PlayStation Network may do a lot of things right, and it may, kind of have the best, or at least one of the biggest console communities out there. I would say that no one does community building and, kind of connecting with your friends as well as Discord does. So, again, natural fit, and you could definitely see that. And actually, I thought I had not set aside this article, but because it's so closely related, we can go ahead and jump from Sony to Sony and talk about this one, which is, again, this hatred of crossplay. And it really should be no surprise. Like, honestly, when I read the headline, I was like, duh. Anyone who's been following PlayStation 4 knows that they really don't like crossplay. PlayStation was pushing for integration with Xbox 360 when it was, kind of the original Xbox versus, the PlayStation 2. Microsoft was like, no way, we're selling way more consoles. Why would we do that? And then, of course, the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, same thing. And then, of course, PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, the PlayStation just blew them out of the water. And when when it was on the other foot, No, PlayStation was having none of it. And PlayStation right now retains their lead. And again, they see little value in making Xbox's experience better, considering that PlayStation is so far ahead. So that was my kind of recollection of what had happened. So let's find out what this is with... And again, this has to do with Fortnite, because Fortnite was such a large player in the arena back in 2018 that they could bring these companies to the table. And yeah, confidential files. Let's do some gaming gossip, saying that Sony initially blocked cross-platform play for both Rocket League and Minecraft, despite Nintendo and Microsoft both enabling players to play across Xbox and Switch. The issue really blew up when Sony blocked Fortnite crossplay in 2018, and players were angry, saying that in the months leading up to Sony's decision, Epic Games had pleaded with Sony to enable crossplay emails in the Epic Games vs. Apple case reveal, which is, I guess, why this is, kind of been released. Which, again, we're going to get to that in just a moment. So, they say that I can't think of a scenario where Epic doesn't get where we want. That possibility went out the door when Fortnite became the biggest game on PlayStation. That was Epic's Vice President of Business Development, saying, and here's the actual email in all of its textual glory, saying that, and they say that, let's see, so the email included, we love working with PlayStation and we want this to be a win-win. The longer this drags out, it will be less so. I can't think of a scenario where Epic doesn't get what we want. That possibility went out the door when they became the biggest game on PlayStation. So there you go. Let's see, so here's what I propose, and again, this is from Epic Games' perspective to PlayStation, saying, 1, we give you the data that you ask for, plus the marketing data ask. So they share everything with PlayStation. They say 2, Epic deeply integrates Sony's esports API into Unreal Engine 4 as an engine-level feature. We market and advertise it as a first-class citizen of the engine, and we support it in Fortnite. So essentially, Sony's esports API means that anything that has to do with kind of the back-end tournament servers, anything like that, Sony would handle, and of course, it would be announced in partnership with Epic, where if you think about Fortnite and esports, Sony's right there in the title. 3, we announce crossplay in conjunction with Sony. Epic goes out of its way to make Sony look like heroes. You get to pick the when, where, how. So essentially, they both get what they want. Well, anyways, Epic gets what they want, but they make it look like Sony were the good guys. It's not the ones that were blocking this crossplay from the beginning. Which, in my mind would have to look something like, it's like, wow, Sony finally did it. Their engineers worked super hard, and despite the technical difficulties, Sony overcame them, and we were able to bring crossplay back. I'm sure something like that might have happened. So that was number 3. Number 4, Epic brands its E3 presence with PlayStation. We're planning a 100-player celebrity pro amateur with huge afterparty. Budgets I've seen are huge, and it will be the biggest event at E3. Remember, this was before COVID. So, it was actually a pretty big splash. They're mentioning that, Epic's willing to explore more items. Maybe we commit to a game at the launch of your next VR platform. So, Epic's willing to explore more items. Maybe we commit to a game at the launch of your next VR platform. So, essentially, Epic Games would develop a VR title for Sony, which Epic is essentially saying that will hopefully get you a new hit on a still developing platform like VR. Number 6, PlayStation Plus. Maybe we do something extra for a month, offer a unique character or something highly valuable to drive PlayStation Plus adoption even more. So I'm sure something like that would have been an exclusive skin or something of that nature for PlayStation. And then number 7, Epic extends the Sony company-wide Unreal Engine 4 license. I don't think I've mentioned this before, but your license to use Unreal Engine expires in May 2019. That license has some of the best terms we've ever offered for Unreal Engine 4. So essentially, the product that they already licensed from Epic, they'd get an even better deal licensing that product if they agreed to this. So, all things considered, Epic really went out of its way to woo Sony. They knew that Sony had one of the, really the biggest console, one of the biggest communities out there, and they knew that if they could add that crossplay, then they could say, X amount of people to play with, X amount of users every month, play with anyone, anywhere, anytime. Like, the marketing kind of writes itself. But the fact that Sony wasn't going for it was a real thorn in Epic's side. Well, they said that Sony's senior director of development, developer relations at the time, dismissed the idea of crossplay, noting that cross-platform play is not a slam dunk no matter the size of the title. As you know, many companies are exploring this idea, and not a single one can explain how cross-console play improves the PlayStation business. What they're saying there is that, right now there's a lot of PlayStation users. They are the largest kind of subcategory. I would say even more than PC, maybe less than mobile at this point. But among PC, Xbox, and PlayStation and Switch, PlayStation has the most players. So they're asking, they're kind of scratching their heads, going, "Yeah, that all sounds great and all, and you're really trying." But Sony's wondering, how does this help us more than it helps everyone else? And they're not seeing the business, kind of the business side of how all this would help Sony more. So they're saying that, but as of August 2019, it appears that Sony may have found a worthy argument, a way to potentially siphon off money from its competitors in exchange for access to PlayStation. The email correspondence doesn't reveal where the issue ultimately ended up, but a document entitled Cross-Platform Policy Requirements and Process from August 2019. They said that reveals how Sony may now approach crossplay, which you can see in this image here, which if you're, again, watching the video portion, you can see all that there. Essentially, they're saying that if the proportion of PlayStation Network revenue share divided by PlayStation 4 gameplay share for a title is less than 0.85 in any given month, the partner will pay Sony Interactive Entertainment a royalty to offset the reduction in revenue. So essentially, if they don't make enough money off of their revenue share, then they make up that that difference. The partner has no obligation to pay a royalty in months where PlayStation Network revenue share divided by blah blah blah. Essentially, if they make enough money, you don't pay anything. Cross-platform revenue month one, $1 million. PlayStation revenue would be $900,000. The revenue share would be 90%. And PlayStation 4 gameplay share 95%, blah, blah, blah. What they're saying there is that if the PlayStation 4 gameplay share, if the revenue is more than enough for how many people are playing, then, hey, everything's copacetic. They're making their money. It's good to go. But if there's the majority of people are playing on PlayStation 4, but at the same time, they are not making enough money through sales, microtransactions, things like that, then Epic would have to owe PlayStation, X amount of dollars. And of course, they're throwing out big round numbers like $1 million and that kind of thing. This is a game that we'll find out in the other article that in the first 2 years, Epic made $9 billion in profit. Like, this is a lot of money that they're talking about. So they say that Sony also stipulates in the policy that publishers can't transfer virtual currency to or from PlayStation, and that there must be a setting to disable all cross-platform interactions. So essentially, if someone didn't want to play with mobile, then yeah, there would be that option as well. Yeah, so they've reached out, that whole thing, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's how that whole thing worked out. PlayStation 4 and Sony were never fans. Well, they were fans back when they were the underdogs, but now that they're the dominant one out there, they definitely are not in the business of making other people's networks stronger by sharing customers and that kind of and data and all that kind of thing. So there you go. It's pretty fun stuff. It's again, this is like gossip. So because we talk so much about it, we can just go ahead and jump right into it. And here we go. This one coming to us from The Verge. They did a very nice write-up here. And yeah, essentially, here's Apple and Epic. And again, this is the court case for those who don't recall. Apple versus Epic. Apple owns the iOS store. It was one of the largest platforms for mobile that Epic had for Fortnite. It was a lot of players. And if you don't know anything about iOS, it's that even though it may not be the majority, it may only be 20, 25%, whatever the market share for iOS devices is lately, it still makes up the lion's share of revenue when it comes to mobile. Because people using iOS and people using Apple's App Store spend more money. Either they're more confident or, hey, it's just, that's where the money is. So if you're not in the iOS store, you don't make your money. Epic, on the other hand, said, you know what? We have a great app. We can make it run on any phone. We don't want to pay your 30% fee for using your payment system. We can accept payments outside of the iOS. We can provide our app outside of the iOS. And Apple is being very anti-competitive by not letting us offer our app outside of the regular means. And Apple said, no, it's a walled garden. If you want to play with Apple, you have to pay Apple's fees. And hey, that's where their argument is. Yeah, and of course, we're going to find out what exactly it is that they have to say about one another. And again, the difference here for Epic, it's a couple more $1 billion. Like, it's a lot of money. And if they somehow manage to pull out a win, they're going to be due a lot of money. But I think for Apple, more so than winning, it's going to be not losing. Because if they lose this, they lose the right to dictate what apps people can install on their iPhones. And if they want to go third party, if they want to go outside the Apple App Store, why would Netflix ever sell another Netflix subscription through Apple if they could just direct people to outside of the iOS store? Why would any of the major developers? This is such a huge source of revenue for Apple that is on the line here. So a company with that much money, and again, Epic would have you believe it's a David versus Goliath kind of thing, where Apple, the Goliath, and Epic, the much smaller company here. Don't forget, each one is swinging around billion-dollar lawyers. So it's not exactly mom and pop coffee shop versus Apple, the giant conglomerate. These are two big companies. So this is going to be in for a long drawn out legal process that both of them are probably going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars fighting. So let's find out here. Saying that the lawsuit started when, as we said before, when Apple removed Epic Games Fortnite from the App Store after Epic bypassed Apple's in-app purchases. But it's turned into a much deeper examination again of Apple's walled garden approach to technology. And here are the different legal strategies. And by the way, let's see. So they even included a nice little slideshow here, which I guess we can try to get through as best we can. This is Apple's opening demonstratives, saying that, this is Steve Jobs back in 2007. The slideshow starts. We're trying to do two diametrically opposed things at once, provide an advanced and open platform to developers while at the same time protect iPhone users from viruses, malware, privacy attacks, etc. That is the origin of the walled garden. That is Steve Jobs back in 2007 before the first iPhone. So, hey, much like PCs back then, anyone could install executables, anyone could install apps. That was just PlayStation. That's just the way it was. I'm sorry, not PlayStation. That was the PC. And Apple and Steve Jobs were proposing something very, very different. So they mentioned that developers have tremendous access to iOS, the App Store, and Apple's IP. Developers they're saying that it's a fast, agile, feature-rich API. Like Metal is exactly what we need to bring game design for modern consoles and desktops to the battery-powered iPhone and iPad. And they mentioned that as a developer, it blows away OpenGL in every way. So essentially what they're saying they're bringing in testimony that the iOS API that everyone uses to develop for iOS is the best platform for mobile games out there. And again, that's more testimony. They have a chart here where their integrated ecosystem have exceeded expectations. They show apps and the number of downloads where they have reached 180 billion downloads, app downloads by 2017. 180 billion app downloads by 2017. Remember, this whole thing started less than 10 years before that. So, but hey, that's probably more an emphasis on smartphones than it is on Apple themselves. But still, Apple's integrated ecosystem ensures security, privacy, and reliability, where they showed the total number of malware infections, which seemed a little weird that they would, throw in Windows and PC. And, honestly, if I was arguing against Apple on this one, the fact that there's 2% on the iOS platform that are virus and malware infections, I don't know where, let's see, what is iOS share of all operating systems? So, they're comparing this not even to just mobile, but they're showing this to everything. So let's see. iOS is currently 16% of the market share, and you have Android, Windows, and OS 10, which will be included in the other. That, and of course Linux and unknown is like another 3%. So what is that? 7, 10, 10, 42, 80, about 83%. Yeah, about 83%. So they account for the vast majority, 83% of it is just not even their ecosystem. And then they're comparing how much safer they are. It's a little misleading, Yes, it is more safe statistically, but at the same time, it's a much smaller share statistically than even like the Android app, which has, more than twice the amount of users, or just a fraction of the users that these other easily accessible groups have. And by the way, looking at iOS, has actually been losing market share for the past number of months. So, they have less malware, but they're also a much smaller ecosystem. But I digress. So again, these are Apple's opening statements to the Epic versus Apple lawsuit. They mentioned that, Apple innovation unlocks the freemium model with AIP. Freemium made Fortnite success on iOS possible. So essentially they're saying that because Apple provides freemium, which is you develop for Apple, you use all of their API, you use their branding, you use kind of their platform, everything. Hey, Apple Apple just gets a cut. You get to use all the tools that Apple put out there in exchange for any kind of sales. They get a cut. So they're saying that Fortnite's success was because of Apple's tools. They mentioned that Epic launched the Project Liberty against the 30%. So essentially they started the public outcry against the 30%. It was a move in the court of public opinion that Apple, kind of cost too much. Although I will say, 30% is too much. Every other developer, Steam included, is looking at reducing their fees for developing on their platform. I think 30% is too much. Now, with that being said, Epic asked for a special side deal from Apple, and they even included a nice little email here that they did not actually, they did not redact. saying that you can see the founder, Tim.Sweeney at epicgames.com. Who knew? And of course, tcook at apple.com. But they're saying that it's a creative narrative that we are benevolent. Apple would need to provide a side letter or alter its contract, where essentially Epic saying that they're so big that they demanded from Apple a different deal, one that other developers do not get. I'm sure if Apple's sticking to Apple's nature, they're not going to do that. They didn't do that for Netflix. They didn't do it for anyone else. There you go. Let's see. So August 13, 2020, Epic launches its hotfix on the App Store. And Epic decided Apple gave Microsoft a heads up about an extraordinary opportunity for consoles and PCs. Too many platforms, they all compete, blah, blah, blah. So, we're not going to actually go through all this because, as you can see here, it's pretty big. And I would probably have to spend a good amount of time to actually see what all this is about. 64 pages. So we're not going to be able to get through that all here on the show. But to move on to Epic, let's see if we can hit the highlights here. And they're 99 pages. Lots of information, both sides. Both sides seem to be coming out swinging. And by the way, Apple, I think that by Apple showing that Epic, they even show here at the very end of their slideshow saying that some of many flaws, they show many flaws in the analysis by Epic. They have a theory based on false premise. Essentially, Epic is lying, and then Epic on the other side is, let's see. So, iOS, all the stuff, they have emails saying that to build these stores as far into the iPhone OS experience as possible to push our advantage, hooked into the ecosystem. Yes, you can see through the slideshow where they have like a logo of iOS and they start to kind of build bricks onto the logo as they kind of have email after email after email until they essentially give the idea that, iOS cannot be accessed because there's a wall put between Epic and iOS, built there by Apple. And it's completely unfair, so they claim. They have, let's see. Have you ever heard anybody at Apple say that macOS is a less secure platform than iOS? And let's see. So, yep. Overall, I think that's where we're going to have to leave it until I can sit down and pick through 160 pages of court documents. But yeah, the two sides, they've laid it all out, and they've laid out a lot of information. Stuff that, hey, I guess if they're both willing to go to court over this, they're going to have to release that to the public, for better or worse. So, let's see. So, I just got to say, and by the way, a lot of this isn't evidence, it's just kind of testimony in what each side is proposing. So, 100 pages later, there you go. I don't know. Okay. Well, I think that's where we're going to leave that whole thing. That court case is going to probably go on for a month or two. I would definitely give it about a month or two. And then on top of that, I would say that there's going to be appeals so far up. I would not be surprised if this went all the way to the Supreme Court. But, we'll see. By the way, this one as well, just because it's noteworthy. Fortnite made more than $9 billion in revenue in its first 2 years. And again, these are numbers released thanks to the lawsuit currently going on between Apple and Epic. Fortnite generated more than $5 billion in its first year for Epic Games, and the document made public as part of the court battle, as we mentioned, shows that the game brought in more than $9 billion total for Epic in 2018 and 2019. Now, they don't break down how much Epic specifically profited from Fortnite, but the company reported more than $5.5 billion in profit from the 2-year period. In the document, the company provided predictions for 2020, but since Epic doesn't usually publicly provide financial statements, it's hard to tell just how accurate the predictions ended up being. So with that being said, they have other games such as Rocket League, made $108 million in revenue in 2018-2019, and Epic's engine brought in $221 million over the same span. Epic, of course, making the Unreal Engine platform. Epic's game store, launched at the end of 2018, brought in a total of $235 million between 2018 and 2019. I'm still not a fan of the Epic Game Store, but yeah, with those kinds of numbers, I understand why they did it. I'm still not a fan of it though, because hey, they lock certain things in there that are not available through Steam and other competing platforms. But exclusivity is what it's all about. Okay, so let's see. One last thing about Epic Games, and then we'll move on. Although it's not really about the court documents, it's about a recent acquisition. And I gotta say that, was not expecting this one. Epic acquires game art portfolio site ArtStation. There you go. So Epic Games has added another hyphen to its multi-hyphenated business with ArtStation, the premier hosting site for CGI and video game-focused art portfolios. The site features a large number of works from talented and established professionals. And ArtStation is also a marketplace for digital assets, ranging from 3D models to game assets. As part of the acquisition, Epic announced that it had dropped the site's standard marketplace fee from $30 to $12, as it did with the Epic Game Store. The company is also making lectures and tutorials in the learning section free until the end of 2021. With that being said, Epic Games not only develops and publishes games, but runs the Epic Game Store. It also builds the Unreal Engine, as we mentioned. And Epic also promised that ArtStation will continue to operate as an independent brand, but collaborate closely with the Unreal Engine team. That's really the interplay there if you're looking for some kind of, connection. And it's going to be that idea that you can make game assets and upload them to ArtStation. And then, of course, that'll be the go-to marketplace for Unreal Engine assets. So there you go. Pretty simple. So there you go. That's the last thing about Epic, hopefully today. Oh, hey, check that out. Wasn't expecting that headline. When did this come out? It's a very, very short article. It just came out, 4:34. So this just came out about 2 minutes ago. Bill Gates and Melinda Gates are splitting up after 27 years. So Bill Gates, obviously the co-founder of Microsoft, said in a tweet on Monday that he and his wife will be splitting up after 27 years. And the tweet, Bill Gates, at Bill Gates on Twitter, obviously, saying that after a great deal of thought and a lot of work on our relationship, we have made the decision to end our marriage. Over the last 27 years, we have raised 3 children and built a foundation that works all over the world to enable people to lead healthy, productive lives. We continue to share a belief in that mission and will continue our work together on that foundation, but we no longer believe we can grow together as a couple in the next phase of our lives. We ask for space and privacy as we navigate this new life. Well, I guess there's going to be a new bachelor, and it's going to be Bill Gates, and of course Melinda Gates will also be single. That was a power couple, especially when it came to technology. What that really means, I think that Microsoft being one of the most influential things to really come out of Bill Gates, but the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, I think, is probably more impactful in a lot of ways. So I hope that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation continues its work, because it does a lot of really, really great work. But for Bill Gates and Melinda Gates to split up, I don't know. I don't know how a multi-billionaire goes about dating. I'm sure it's not the easiest thing in the world, but fish in a barrel, I would imagine. There you go. I'm curious if his dating profile is going to use that image of him lounging on a desktop, kind of cradling that monitor, or if he's going to use a more recent picture. I don't know. Wasn't expecting that. But again, very 2 minutes ago. Can't get much more recent than that. Okay. In other news, that isn't about people breaking up. Let's talk about the story about companies breaking up. Just a little bit. If you don't recall, a couple of years ago, I want to say about 2 years ago, famously, Verizon made what many would consider to be a bad investment. And of course, looking back, that's easy to say, but at the time, I think a lot of people kind of scratched their heads at this one. Verizon sells Yahoo and AOL for $5 billion. My biggest question was, who the heck paid $5 billion for Yahoo and AOL? It seems so questionable. Still, wireless company Verizon will sell Verizon Media, which consists of the once pioneering tech platforms, to Apollo Global Management in a $5 billion deal. Verizon said Monday it will keep a 10% stake in the new company, which will be called Yahoo. Not even Yahoo with an exclamation point, just Yahoo. Private equity. It will be sold to a private equity firm. Yahoo at the end of last century was the face of the internet, preceding the behemoth that is Google and Facebook. Obviously, Yahoo even had the opportunity, as is so often quoted when talking about this kind of thing. Yahoo had the opportunity to buy Google for $5 million or something like that when it was just a baby. And they said, no, we're dominant. We don't need to acquire Google of all things. We're just going to crush you. And of course, we can all see what happened. Now, Verizon, for their part, spent about $9 billion in this acquisition back in 2015. And of course that took about 2 years. Over that 2 years, you had Yahoo being compromised. You had all their assets being out there. You had that price fell from like a $20 billion deal or $30 billion deal, whatever it was. And under, I want to say Marissa Myers was like the CEO at the time. And, through missteps and mismanagement over at Yahoo, and of course, not disclosing hacks and security flaws and things like that, that price just dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. And I'm sure that a lot of people thought that Verizon got a steal with Yahoo being valued at $9 billion, but as we now know, not so much the case. Now, the year after buying Yahoo, Verizon wrote down the value of the company called Oath by roughly the value of $4.5 billion it had spent on Yahoo. So, instant loss of $4.5 billion. Verizon has been shedding media assets as it refocuses on wireless, spending billions on licensing the airwaves needed for the next gen of 5G. It sold Tumblr in 2019 and HuffPost to BuzzFeed late last year, and the digital media sector in recent years has been consolidating as companies seek profitability. Because, if you don't know this about media, a lot of people consume it, but not a lot of people pay for it. And that's a big issue for huge, large companies that have a lot of overhead, have a lot of staff, have a lot of buildings, but not a lot of revenue. That's really an issue. So what do you do when you have a lot of readers, but not a lot of, when you have a lot of readers and a lot of assets, but not a lot of revenue, you consolidate and you try to whittle that down until you become profitable. They couldn't really do it. Now, the properties that Verizon is selling include Yahoo Finance, Yahoo Mail, and the tech blogs Engadget and TechCrunch. There you go. Despite its difficulty competing with tech giants for ad dollars, leading to cost cuts and layoffs, Verizon Media's revenue rose 10% in the most recent quarter from the year before to $1.9 billion. I got to say that a lot of that is probably thanks to the pandemic and the fact that people are turning to internet browsing and reading news articles to try to stay informed instead of kind of going out and finding other sources. Now, financial firms have played an increasingly prominent role in traditional media, and where they've been buying up newspaper chains and slashing costs. What that means is that more and more media, and something that people really need to pay attention to, more and more media is being scooped up by private equity firms that only care about money and benefiting from their sister companies and their other assets. So local news stations, kind of radio, public radio. Well, I shouldn't say public radio because obviously that's public, not private owned, but kind of AM radio, FM radio, local news stations, newspapers, obviously now things like, Engadget and TechCrunch and things like that are owned by fewer and fewer people. And if you're looking for a diversity in messaging and a diversity in in reporting, that is the opposite of what you want. You want a free and fair, open, healthy media. And unfortunately, we're actually getting less of that by these big acquisitions. So Verizon will receive a $4.25 billion in cash with preferred interest of $750 million in the minority stake. So they're still retaining 10% of the new company. So they're still expected to close in the second half of the year, and there you go. I don't know. It's kind of surprising, because some of those publications, they do a very good job of reporting when there's a shared interest in, let's say when Engadget reports about Verizon, they always say that, we're owned by Verizon. So yeah, take that as you will. But when it's owned by Apollo Capital, I'm kind of questioning where the objectivity is going to come from, and then on top of that, what benefit does that have if they own newspapers, radio stations, television, kind of local television stations, and now tech sites? We'll have to see. We'll have to see how that all plays out. Let's go ahead and continue here. All right, we teased this at the top of the hour, and we can go ahead. Kroger. Not a lot of Krogers where we're from, but that's okay, because Kroger will begin drone deliveries in Ohio this week. Check this out. The FAA has finally started allowing commercial flights beyond line of sight, and that was really the big stop for a lot of people. You could have line of sight, but obviously if you wanted to which some companies thought they could get around by doing things like UPS delivering packages from a singular truck, parking in the middle of a neighborhood, and having drones fly out, buzz out, and drop it off on people's doorsteps. But that was just because the FAA would not allow non-line of sight flying. But the fact that Kroger got this meant that, hey, the FAA is changing their tune and will, we could start to see drones becoming more of a thing, even though they've been a thing for quite a while now. Still, Kroger, one of America's biggest grocery chains, is beginning to test a drone delivery service near Dayton, Ohio. Starting this week, Kroger will, and they will also begin testing deliveries near Centerville, Ohio as well. And they say that the Federal Aviation Administration has permitted commercial use of drones for several years, but now they can do it for out of line of sight and retail delivery. They say that, they will be managed by Drone Express pilots from an on-site trailer with additional off-site monitoring. The drone is only capable of lifting about 5 pounds of cargo, which limits the kinds of goods that they can order, and they say it will offer special bundles of useful products that fit within that weight limit, like a, quote, baby care bundle with wipes and formula, or s'mores bundle with graham crackers, marshmallows, and chocolates. So they're still relatively small drones, to have a payload of about 5 pounds, although 5 pounds is still pretty good, for a drone. But still small drones, I'm sure something within the FAA limit. And they say that the deliveries can be made in as little as 15 minutes. I'm sure that the delivery area would have to be within, a mile or two of the Kroger store itself. Still, the delivery location doesn't have to be a postal address. It can be any set of GPS coordinates. So if you're having a picnic at the park or something like that, the drone delivery could run over and drop your condiments at your picnic no problem. It doesn't have to be a physical address. And I think that's one of the cooler things, that you could do. How it's actually going to work. It sounds like they're going to have a couple of people in these drones a couple of people piloting the drones from this trailer sitting in the parking lot. And then from there, there's going to be offsite people kind of making sure that they do the right thing. This is not going to be automated. So yes, it's step one. It's getting people comfortable with the idea of drones. Can drones even be flown like this? It's all going to be good. But the bigger question is there a demand for people potentially paying a little bit more for immediate service and, for random items? And, kind of how quick is it? How feasible is it? What is the maintenance on these drones? Can they be flown over and over and over again? The next step would be to automate something like this and to keep demand increasing so that you can actually, do this kind of thing. There's a lot of little minutia that goes into providing a service like this. Is the service even going to be good? That's what they're going to find out with this. So there you go. Okay, there's that story. Our next story is, how about today with idiots? COVID-19 is a struggle enough as it is. But it gets a little bit worse when you have really diabolical people like this, saying that man arrested for faking COVID-19 check-in QR codes. And I'm actually seeing a lot of this from different stories, especially in places like India, where you have to kind of provide a negative COVID result, and you can actually purchase them from so many places. It looks like this was a gentleman who was, kind of doing that. So they said that a man in Australia has been arrested after allegedly placing fake QR labels over official COVID-19 check-in signs in South Plympton. Adelaide. When the customers used their smartphones to check in, they were instead directed to an anti-vaccination website. Okay, that's not helpful. They said that Colin Mark Davies, 51, has been charged with 2 counts of obstructing operations related to COVID-19. Anyone found tampering with the QR codes faces an arrest and a penalty of up to 10 grand. The country operates a similar system to that of the UK's test and trace scheme, which asks customers to check into venues so they can be notified if they come into close contact with COVID-19. So he said that he wanted to get his message out. They said that he has since been released on bail on the condition that he does not carry any loose QR labels, so don't do that anymore. He must return to court in July to be sentenced. His lawyer said that he wanted to get his message out to the public. He's been charged with possessing a prohibited weapon after police searched his home and found a double-sided knife. South Australian police confirmed that no personal data had been breached during the incident because it'd be very easy to slap a QR label onto these things that would either download malware on people's phone or redirect them to a site that would have them maybe even put in information to get a COVID test or something like that. You could see how you could hijack everyone who walked by those signs and try to check into that location. You can hijack their phone or, steal personal information. So he was, he tried to send them to some very stupid information, but it could very easily gone the other way. Now, with that being said, they can hold a massive amount of data compared to standard barcodes, up to 2,500 numeric characters compared to a barcode's 43. So QR codes are, they're like barcodes on steroids. So with that being said, don't do that. Don't do that. That was a very dumb thing to do. And again, if anything, it's just vandalism for people trying to protect themselves. Now, I know that I'm sure people out there are very tired of court stuff, but this one is going to affect a lot of people if you shop on Amazon, which, kind of hands, but 99.9% of you. Amazon's big. You can't really avoid it. So this one from John Fingus over at Engadget, saying that Amazon is responsible for the safety of third-party products, a court says. And they said that a California State of Appeals court has ruled that Amazon is responsible for the safety of third-party products, which include the hoverboard fire back in 2015. So this one has been working its way through the courts for a number of years. And while the internet giant argued that it was only connecting buyers and sellers, judges determined that there was a direct link in distribution that made the company liable. So essentially, because you fulfill your order through Amazon, and there's an Amazon warehouse, Amazon packaging, Amazon, even though it's provided by a third party, because it comes through Amazon at some point, they are liable. Saying that the company won the initial ruling. At the time, a judge sided with Amazon's view that it was just advertising sellers' products rather than participating in sales. Although clearly, that's not the case thanks to the massive Amazon fulfillment centers. Now, in a statement, Amazon said that it invests heavily in product safety by screening sellers and products. It also keeps watch on the store for hints of problems. The company declined to comment on the appeals court decision, including whether it intended to challenge the ruling. I guarantee you, they are going to take this to the state Supreme Court in California. What this would mean would be that any defective product that comes through the Amazon marketplace, Amazon themselves would be liable for any kind of damages, deaths, harms, anything like that. That opens them up to infinitely more lawsuits. So there would be no upside to really letting this stand. So yeah, I really don't know why they wouldn't contest this. And they mentioned that if it holds, this could force Amazon to change its policies. The tech giant may have to step up its vetting process. And of course, they might also say that, well, only certain third-party products are allowed through Amazon, and that means that you have less selection, which, in all honesty, wouldn't be a bad thing. There's a lot of junk on Amazon, and if there's less dangerous junk, maybe that's a good thing. But still, you could see fewer sketchy products in online stores, and that could have a better chance of resolving safety issues. So, yeah, I'm not sure that's really the worst thing in the world if companies are responsible for the products that they sell. But still, the end of that is not here. So let's see. I think with that being said, we have time for maybe one more article, and I think we can talk about this one. I'm a huge fan of the Game Boy. It was really my first console. Loved it. Sure, I played, computer games back in the day, but the Nintendo Game Boy will always hold a special place. So this article really leaped out to me because it looks like there are new Game Boy games being made in 2021. That's right. Decades after its initial appearance, there are still new games being developed. And they said that, Pokemon and Zelda are obvious, really surface level. They mentioned that, but then there's some that are a little deeper. Lisa the Painful, the vibe of the tone of the game is heavily influenced by another game. Things like the Tower of Heaven, a Flash Game Boy style game. The narrative's not the emphasis of the game, but there are certain beats that I tried to match here. So essentially, they have someone giving their reason why they develop Game Boy games. They said that, it's a lot of nostalgia. It's the fact that, it's a labor of love. They mentioned that the games, they're freely available on itch.io. A limited physical run also was seen on SpaceBot Interactive, and slowly they're expanding to include more creators, build up a library for Nintendo's oldest handheld console. So we're going to include this article. This is, kind of a very cool editorial, but I found it a lot of fun that people are going to ask, why would they do that? And someone else asked, why wouldn't I do that? It's a lot of fun, and it's, simpler to code for the original Game Boy, as compared to more recent models. But getting your game out there, it's going to be for a very certain subset of people. But there you have it. I honestly do think it's cool when people take on the challenge of coding and creating things that are, supposedly for older consoles. So everyone, that's about all the time we have here for today. Again, I'm really looking forward to, in the coming days, in the coming weeks, everything coming out of the Apple and Epic Games lawsuit. I think that's going to be very interesting. And from there, we'll have more Computer America. Same time, same place, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. ComputerAmerica.com, IRN, and of course, twitch.tv/ComputerAmerica. Everyone, have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.